Two. Hello. Check 2. What's up, folks? What's up? How are we doing? How are we doing? I have like a whole... I don't know how I'm going to do this. I don't have a sandwich like usual today. And sandwiches are really good food to eat on stream. Because, you know, obviously it's just like a handheld thing you can munch on. Yes, I did get a haircut today. I got this live show coming up tomorrow, so I wanted to look fresh for that. I went a little bit further into the mullet lifestyle here. I went a little shorter on the sides and the top and a little longer in the back. Yeah, Old Dutch, the design is really cool. The design, I didn't get it. I looked at it like right before getting started, so I didn't get a chance to look at all the details, but really cool. The mullet and the design, good. That's what I mean. So a sandwich, really easy to eat on stream. This, like, less so. It's some leftovers from last night, some chicken. It just looks like a big mess there. It's some chicken thighs and rice, kimchi. It looks like a K-pop haircut for a white guy. I mean, I guess. It's just a mullet. It's like fucking 80s McCartney. That was my go-to. No? It's the Steve Guttenberg. Everyone had this haircut in like 1986. Thank you, Lioness. That's very nice of you. You're very nice to me. I'm just going to enjoy my lunch here. Don't mind me. Really not easy to eat on stream. I don't often get like the bone-in chicken thighs. They are very flavorful. I just got... They were pretty cheap. It was like $6 or $7 at the grocery store for like a large size thing of bone-in chicken thighs. So I just picked that up and just threw those all in the oven yesterday just to make it so I had a dinner last night and then had a bunch of leftover chicken thighs just so I could do whatever with. Which is what we're doing right now. Keep the bones and you got to stew. I'm not good at doing that. I'm not good at using bones for stuff. I know that I should. I know that is a thing. I think it's just something I don't really know how to do. Maybe I need to look at a TikTok about that. So I know what to do with the bones. They still have not produced Kate. Apparently Sunday's the big day. Sunday's the big day when she's going to reemerge. Sunday's the day that she's going to reemerge. They're getting all the AI software up to speed to make sure. She's coming out of hibernation, that's right. I saw the stupidest people yelling at you for Alex Jones' take. I mean, I saw that there was starting to be discourse about not just what I tweeted, but like the whole Alex Jones thing. I didn't really check to see if people were yelling at me about it. I assumed they probably would because I saw that it was going viral. So, you know, I did a follow-up post today, but you know, whatever, can't be helped. Can't be helped. Isn't Alex Jones anti-Semitic? Probably, yeah. I imagine so. When you delve into any of these like right-wing conspiracies, that's always what it ends up being. But like a lot of anti-Semitic right-wingers, still is like a supporter of Israel. And still, even people like him are starting to look at some of the videos and things that are happening and being like, this is totally indefensible. And he's getting to that, he's covering his own ass. He's grifting and seeing which way the wind is blowing and covering his own ass and coming to a better take than a lot of average liberals. And I think that's worth pointing out. I think that's worth pointing out. I saw your quote tweet on AJ. Ron, really? What was that? It was on like Al Jazeera? I didn't realize that. It was on Alex Jones? Is that true? Okay, wait, no. I saw your quote tweet on AJ. That just means you saw the tweet that I was referencing? On the subject of Alex Jones. Okay, for a second I thought it was like it was on there. Which would be funny. But that's not what I think you're saying. Okay, I got it. False alarm. And let me just finish my lunch here. Okay. That was quite nice. We almost had another, and we found this. It would be great to have an Alex Jones version of that. I was looking into this sick individual, and I found this. I think ultimately it would be, I think the thing that would make me the most happy would be if Alex Jones played me doing my Alex Jones impression on Alex Jones. That would be a big highlight for me. If he showed me doing my beloved communist Alex Jones character. If I could get that played on InfoWars, I would consider that a big W. Chin chin, folks. I got a guru today. I picked up a guru. I was at the dollar store. I would like if Alex Jones found a picture of you in the cat ears. If he could show me with the cat ears and then played me doing my communist Alex Jones character, I think I could probably just retire. No, I couldn't because I need to earn a living, but Chin chin. This guy Robert shows I'm a leftist cat boy based in Canada. I was turned on to this sick individual, and I found this. He's hosting a Twitter space or whatever right now. Is Israel committing genocide in Gaza? Good. Good. I mean, I'm wondering if I should just punt this. I wonder if I should punt this to do an actual segment on it in like 20 minutes. Let me just finish my energy drink, okay? Then we can talk about Alex Jones. Not bad. Not bad. It's no monster, but it's not bad. Alex Jones playing Rob, playing Helldivers too. Yeah. This man says he loves freedom and democracy. I'm confused, folks. I'm confused. Excuse me. I got to talk about... I was turned on by this sick individual. We all know that that's what they meant. I got to talk about something that happened this morning. This is not that interesting, but it was interesting to me. Because after I got my hair cut, I had to go stop by the grocery store because tonight, when my son gets back from school, we're going to bake a cake. I told him that we could bake a cake. I'm trying to get him more involved in like making stuff, and he really likes that. He's been doing that with his mom as well lately. So it's like you come back from school, we're going to bake a cake. We'll get some pizza, we'll bake a cake, we're going to hang out. Maybe we'll watch X-Men 97. I don't know. I don't know exactly what's going to happen. We're going to be chilling now, and we're going to bake a cake. So I went to the mullet continues to grow its power. That's right. Yeah. No, like I said, I went a little shorter on the sides and the top and a little bit longer in the back this time. I'm getting a little more adventurous every time. Why X-Men 97? I don't know. I just thought I would show it to him, or maybe just watch the original cartoon, which is also really good. He hasn't watched the 90s X-Men show. He's watched a lot of that like 90s animation stuff, but he hasn't never really connected with the X-Men as much as a superhero team. I love the original, and he loves theme music too, and I played him the theme music because it's like the best theme music like ever almost. But anyway, stop derailing me. Stop derailing me from this story. Scott is so rude to Logan and vice versa. One thing I do love about X-Men, the original cartoon, and this new one too, is I'm a Cyclops guy. I'm a Scott Summers fan. And in the X-Men films, Scott Summers got totally nerfed. They nerfed Scott Summers so they could make Wolverine cooler. Scott Summers is just doing nothing in those movies. And Scott is a genocidal monster now in the comics. I was not aware of that. The lady who does Rogue is my favorite voice actor. I love that voice. She's a Canadian politician now. I would say that version of Rogue from the late 90s too is probably like my first like cartoon character that I was like, damn, It was the first cartoon character that and not like there's a long list of cartoon characters that I've been attracted to, okay, just to be clear. There's not a long list. But I did have a crush absolutely on late 90s X-Men Rogue with the jacket and everything and the... Anyway. Ugh. Anyway, let's not dwell on this. Let's not dwell. We don't need to get into the details of what we're talking about here. The cake, though. So we're gonna make a cake. We're gonna make a chocolate cake with sprinkles. Okay. So I went to this grocery store after I got my haircut. I went to the grocery store near where I lived, and they didn't have like the cake. Oh my goodness. He went there. So at the grocery store that I went to, they didn't have like just the regular like Betty Crocker chocolate cake that I wanted to get. So I got like a few items there, and then I went nearby. There's a dollar store. I'll check the dollar store, see if they have something there, and they did. So I went to the dollar store. I picked up, you know, the cake batter, the sprinkles, a few other things. And then I left. I started going home. I walked like a block away, and I was like, you know what? I don't think I have like a measuring cup. I don't think I have a mixing bowl as well. I went back to the dollar store. I picked up the measuring cup. I picked up a little whisk. I picked up a cake pan. I picked up a mixing bowl. Just because like I don't want to have to be going back. I want to make sure I have everything. You know, I don't want to be having to go back later after I pick up my kid from school. I want to make sure I have everything needed to make the cake here. So I came back, dropped everything off. I had a little meeting. We have this live show tomorrow in Montreal, 8 p.m. at Lennox, underneath St. Jacques Cathedral on St. Catherine Street, Montreal. Hope to see everyone there. Had a little meeting to talk about that. And then I was going to take a shower, get ready, and I went and looked at all my items. I didn't have the cake. I didn't have the cake batter. And I have never been more certain of anything, that I picked up the cake batter from the shelf, put it in the thing, paid for it, put it in my bag, came back. I have never been more certain of anything in my life, and it was not there. And I was there. I was in twice. I was in 3 separate things. I went to the grocery store, the dollar store, and then went back to the dollar store to get some more stuff. And I didn't have the cake batter, the main thing that I needed. So I had to that's why I'm getting started later, because I had to go put my fucking coat on, put my hat and my scarf on, because by the way, it's freezing cold today. It's freezing cold. It's like colder than it was most of February today, which is just depressing in and of itself. So I put all my stuff back on. I go walk back to the dollar store to get this fucking cake batter. Maybe you accidentally left the cake batter on the second trip. No, though, because so I had a backpack. Okay. I took all my items. I put my items in my backpack, and I was walking down the street, and then I was like, oh, I'm going to get the mixing bowl and stuff. And then I didn't open my bag again. I kept the mixing. I just carried the mixing bowl and my measuring cup and just carried that back to my apartment. No, I did not do the self-checkout. Maybe my backpack has a portal in it. Maybe. I don't know. I'm positive I got this. Like I'm certain that I bought that cake batter. The one thing. And I was just amazed because I went to the grocery store, the dollar store, back to the dollar store, and still didn't end up with the main thing that I went there to get. And I had to go back for the 3rd visit. It took me 3 visits to the dollar store to finally get all the items that I needed. But now I've got everything. So we're going to have a fun night tonight. Me and my guy, we're going to bake a cake. We're going to eat pizza. We're going to hang out and watch TV. It's going to be fun. It's going to be nice. And tomorrow's going to be nice as well. We got a big day tomorrow. Big day. We got a big day tomorrow. Big show. Big live event. The 2nd live event. Feel a little nervous about it. I feel less nervous about the performance. I just want people to come. We had a decent turnout in the first one. Really, really hoping to do better than on this one, and get more people in there. This is one of my favorite cake recipes to use. I half it and use a loaf pan with lemon and poppy seeds. Okay, I'm going to get that. I don't know if that would be... acceptable for my kid who's got very particular tastes about certain things, so I can run that by him, but I'm going to save that recipe though. Well, I'm not flying to Canada Land to see your show. Sorry, nopers. Well, why not though? That's the question. Why not though? Why won't you? I think you should ask yourself that question. Congress just approved cutting funding to UNRWA and making sure LGBTQ flags aren't flown at embassies. Thanks, Biden. Well, to make up for that, though, they've done this completely meaningless theatrical UN vote, a fake ceasefire vote. So you win some, you lose some. No, this cake is just like a regular chocolate cake, though. But I'm thinking about... Where's that guy on... There's this guy on TikTok, Jordan the Stallion, who's become very popular. He's the guy that says, come here, and he does the zoom in thing, and he reveals recipes of, like, fast food places. And he was saying just to use those, like, cake mixes, like just the regular shitty cake mix, but just add... use milk instead of water and an extra egg. And apparently that's how you get it to like a way better like restaurant quality. He says a lot of these restaurants just use the shitty cake mix, but they just add a few extra little things to make it like way better. So I might try that. I might get a little crazy with it. I'm a regular cake mix, Betty Crocker. Yeah, that's what I got as well. But apparently, you can add more stuff to the Betty Crocker mix to make it better. Barry, thanks for popping in. I'm glad you got a new job, though. I use butter instead of oil in brownie mixes. Yeah, see, this is or mayo instead of oil. That's interesting. That's interesting. You ever see those Oreo cakes in a mug made in the microwave? I have seen those. Yeah. Those seem kind of interesting to me. I would like to try that as well. Hang on, I'm just going to take this bowl back to the kitchen. I'll be right back. This is what I ended up with. We're going to have fun making that tonight. I guess I was also a little distracted like when I was at the store because like I really had to use the restroom as well. So I was maybe not thinking clearly. I was very frustrated about having to go back to the dollar store for the third time though. That was very frustrating. Forget the batter in the restroom? I don't think so. I think I dropped everything on the counter and it was supposed to be in my backpack anyway. I wasn't carrying it in my hands. That'd be pretty silly, though. Maybe I'll find it enough to make a second cake. Well, I mean, it wouldn't be the end of the world if I just had to eat more. Like, I like cake, you know? I like getting caked up. Wouldn't be the end of the world. I started making my own naan recently, even though the frozen naan is pretty good. I'd like to start making naan more a part of my lifestyle, my dietary lifestyle. Love a naan. Love a naan. I've gotten like somewhat okay at doing kind of like Asian style food. It would be good to start doing some more Indian stuff as well. Tortilla is also pretty easy to make from scratch. These are all things I need to master. Okay. Good. So that was my morning. Got the little man to school on time. Got my hair cut. Had this whole cake fiasco meeting. And now here I am. Here I am with you. And there's plenty of stuff to talk about today. Lots of interesting stuff to get into. We can talk about this whole Alex Jones thing in just a minute. You want to see my son's little diorama that he made in school? You want to see a diorama? Made this little thing with like a moose. There's like a moose. It's really cool. Yeah, that's right. That's our street. That's where we live. I bring him to school on that moose every morning. You ride the moose. Ride the moose to school. Ride the moose should be used as a euphemism for something. It's true, yeah. I assumed everyone in Canada rides a moose. Moose are like deceptively large. I think you think of like a moose like, oh, it's just like, you know, whatever. What is it? The size of like a horse, maybe? And then when you see them in practice, they're like fucking gigantic beasts. they're huge. It's called Rob Musso. Okay. Okay. Riding the moose is the Canadian equivalent of durfing. I would say riding the moose is when you drink above 15 beers at a youth hockey game and get in a fight with one of the other parents and then drive drunk home. If it was going to be like a euphemism for something, riding the moose, that's what it would be.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through.
Isn't that just what most Canadians do? Yes, it is. Dick Penderin, thanks so much for 7 months. Tier 1. Thank you for that. That's so specific. It's true. And then you write your significant other a note and say, I don't know if it's a beer talking, but you got a butt that won't quit. I was thinking of $5. My partner's traveling to your beautiful city of Montreal in May. Well, it is a beautiful city. It is a beautiful city. I really think it's one of the best cities in the world, actually, I would say. I was going to say North America. I think it's a world-class city. Like I've talked about before, it's got its problems, certainly, Montreal, but I really do think that it's up there in terms of, like, cities in the world. I think it's fantastic. I recommend you all come to visit. This is good. Diego, this gift perfectly and instantly describes a moose's strength. Yeah. Okay, sounds good, Mistress of Insanity. Yeah, okay, so what's the meme? Her, you better be a 2,000-pound, four-legged beast with antlers if you think we fucking me. Oh, shit. Let's try that again. You better be a giant 2,000-pound, four-legged animal with antlers if you think we fucking me. Got it in one take. That's the most important thing about those. First try. Nailed it. So what else? Is there anything else going on with you guys? What do we want to talk about? What else is there? Anything else you want to chit-chat about? Any other chit-chat topics? Did I miss anything? Are you watching March Madness? I mean, I did see... the dragon bullshit. Relic, thanks for the reminder. I did want to react to those trailers, so we can do that. I'm not really watching March Madness. I did see the highlights of that. I love the upsets. You know, I don't watch a lot of college hoops, but I do. There's things about March Madness that are very entertaining, and the upsets are always one of them. that Kentucky game, and who are they even playing? Was it Oakland? Yeah, with that like random like schlubby white guy who came into the game and hit 10 threes. Absolute game of his life. Oakland, which is in Michigan. Okay, I see. Kamala had Oakland in her bracket. Interesting. I mean, I guess just recognize that Kentucky's been choking a lot lately over the last couple of years. Yeah, I love that though. That's always my favorite part of March Madness. The random dude that just comes in and has the game of his life and like on this huge stage and causes this big commotion. So that was fun. Yeah, 10 threes, over 50%. And I was watching those highlights too. He was taking some crazy shots. Like he just could not miss. Totally unconscious. They haven't made it out of the round of 64 in like 10 years. Yeah, and I think in like they haven't even made it. Yeah. Yeah. What's something like that. Those are always fun. Those are always fun moments. I know British politics are stupid. I saw the big thing that they're talking about in Britain now are like the football jerseys. The football jerseys with the flag is not being respected. That's funny. I believe that's 50% less than the video of you shooting we saw. That's true. That is true. I could have been a contender. If I was a couple inches taller, I could have taken hoops more seriously. I really, like I've talked about this before, but I really, like when I was 12, 13, I was sure I was going to be like 6'4". I was just positive that I was going to be 6'4". And then I would have been able to take hoops a lot more seriously. But if you're 6 foot and you're slow and have no handle, even if you might have a nice jumper, that's tricky. That's tricky. If you're going to be 6 foot, you better have a really like a extremely tight handle and be quick. And I have neither of those things. It's too bad you only made it to 6'3". I know. I'm 6'4" and it fucking sucks. You didn't hoop though, Diego? You gotta hoop. You gotta hoop. You've been given God-given abilities here. You gotta take that onto the court. I like how they put out the black trailer and the green trailer for House of the Dragon. That's cool. Key Revere 6'7"? Oh my god. If I had been 6'7", I would have at least played university basketball in Canada. Maybe I could have gone to played in like Turkey or something, or like somewhere in Europe. I played basketball until both shoulders started completely dislocating at the smallest provocation because I'm cursed with being double jointed apparently. That sounds really miserable. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to hear that. Just take some HGH, simple as. I've talked about it before. Me and Marty have talked about this. We need to get on the juice. I think I could do a couple cycles. I've been cultivating a lot of mass over the years. I could start taking some stuff and I would be ripped. I would have statues commemorating him in North Macedonia. This is the road less traveled. That leg lengthening surgery. Absolutely. Is it Macedonia? It was one of those. That was one of those moments where it's like I don't know if I've said this word out loud before. They'd call it Macedonia after I was finished with it. I'll tell you that much. I absolutely love steroids. Absolutely. We need to break the stigma on this. We need to break the stigma. There's nothing wrong with doing steroids. It's actually cool. It's cool to do. What if at like 45 I just got super ripped? What about that? I could pivot. I could pivot to being a super ripped dude. Gotta go carnivore, obviously. Obviously. Thank you, James. Thank you. This is what I'm talking about here. 2 words, cold plunge. Yeah. You can join Beefcake chat. Oh, is that a chat for all the in shape people? Himbo arc is not what I expected. I'm already a himbo though. Doc, not so strange. That's already my arc. Okay. Starts in a chicken breast crust for the pizza. Scratching the old arm here. Ugh. Sorry, excuse me. Sorry about that. I want 2 things. Women and men alike to drool all over me when I'm wearing my 4-inch inseams, and to do enough steroids that I forget how to do basic math. I don't see what's so wrong with that. I don't see what the problem is with that. Why is that so bad? Why is that wrong? Someone please tell me. Looking good at the beginning of your successful podcaster reactionary carnivore arc. That's right. I mean, this is where the audiences are. This is where the big time audiences are. Where do you even get 4-inch inseam shorts? I've never seen any. I got some from Gymshark, Regime Pilled. That's where I get all my little shorts. I'd like to get some more though. I don't have enough. I got a couple pairs, but I don't have enough. I got a guy. Yeah, I got meet me in the Walmart parking lot, 2:30 a.m. I got shorts for you, okay? You think 4 inches is short? We can go lower. We can go shorter. It's the only way to do it. It's the only way to do it, folks. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to say. This is the look this summer. Okay? The mullet. We're talking 4-inch inseam or below. 4 inches, that's the baseline. Okay? This is the look. I'm telling you right now. Women and men go crazy over this shit. And they should. And they're right to. I wish I was Canadian so I could grow a mullet. I mean, you don't have to be. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, there we go. You don't have to be. It does help. I think I have white cutoff jorts somewhere. There we go. That sounds great. You just want to make sure they're going down mid-thigh. Mid-thigh at the most. If you cut off Jinkos, it'd just be regular jeans. That's right. Yeah. Yes. Okay. Let's react to this dragon bullshit, okay? I saw these dropped yesterday. I've purposely avoided looking at them. I purposely avoided looking at them because I wanted to react live. Like you went on this journey with me last year. I was very much not planning on getting invested in the dragon bullshit. I watched it more just like out of curiosity, you know, so I could make fun of it, kind of thing. And I got absolutely pulled right back in, and I'm actually quite hyped for this season. As you know, I am a supporter of the black faction of the Targaryen civil war. And we don't have any tolerance for like people that are sitting on the fence about this. But it was quite clear in season 1 that Viserys Targaryen did very clearly name his daughter Rhaenyra as the heir to the Iron Throne, and there's all kinds of different. Oh, but what about this? Well, no, there's no buts. Okay, that was very clear. In this house, we support Queen Rhaenyra.
We fight for our queen.
That's me.
My father chose me, his firstborn child, to succeed him.
True.
He held to his decision until death. And yet, Alicent's son sits my throne. I mean to fight this war and win it.
The realm will soon tear itself apart. If men do not remember the oath sworn to King Viserys and to his rightful heir.
The Hightows are marching. You must crush this beast at its head.
Our terms are very simple. Renounce the false king and bend the knee to the king, or your house burns.
When the desire to kill and burn takes hold and reason is forgotten, you will not even remember what began the war in the first place.
We fight for our queen.
I feel what I've begun.
Woof. Woo. Oh my. What's the kid's name that what's his eye gets taken out and then he becomes this like terrifying person, and there's the whole situation at the end of the last season with the dragon and the thing that kind of kicks the war off. Oh boy, that's going to be something. I really described that very well. I really knocked that out of the park. I really remember all this stuff. I actually bought the book. Yeah, the oh shit look on his face. He was like, I did not intend for that to happen. I did not intend for that to happen. will all unravel in the final season and we'll regret watching it at all. I don't know. I mean, Benioff and Weiss aren't involved in this. I feel like the showrunners of this know going into it the complaints and the criticisms that people have with the original series. I imagine there's going to be an effort to do a better job. I imagine. Okay, let's see this other one.
Only weeks ago, my lord husband was alive, and the realm was at peace. On his deathbed, he knew the realm would never accept a queen. Rhaenyra's supporters will believe what they wish, but Viserys wanted Aegon to succeed him.
Convenient that he waited till his deathbed to mention that.
But for the satisfaction of vengeance.
Plot against the king, and I will pay it back 100 times over.
I'm as fearsome as any of them.
You have no idea the sacrifices that were made to put you on that throne.
My uncle is a challenge I welcome. If he dares face me.
We will prevail and bring forth peace. But you must accept that the path to victory now is one of violence.
Good. To war, then.
All my life, I've endeavored to serve both my house and the realm. And somehow none of it matters.
Hold to your courage for the one true King Aegon!
I'm pretty hyped. We may have to do community dragon bullshit watch-alongs to talk about this. They also have the source material finished. They don't have to make something up on their own. I think that's another factor as well. Literally, the only path to victory lies through violence now. That was an interesting turn of phrase. I wonder if there's any other kind of real world applications of that. Obviously not, because we don't agree with violence, obviously, but it's, that was an interesting quote there. Nothing but respect for my queen. Thank you. Thank you, Lion. Emmond. Yeah, that's him. He looks pretty terrifying. The showdown with him and the uncle there. I forgot all the names. That should be kind of fun. Really, that moment in season 1 when Viserys shows up in the throne room and he's with all how physically fucked up he is, that was one of the great moments, I thought. That was a moment I think I need to rewatch last season as well. I think that would be a good thing to start to do. We got until June to rewatch it. I think I'm going to have to do that. Maybe that could be a community thing as well. That moment when he walks into the throne room though and they're not expecting him, that was like on par with pretty much any big moment in the original series. I thought that was fantastic. Really, Paddy Constantine in that role last year was phenomenal. He was really great. Lioness, were you like a Game of Thrones person? Like, I got really into it. When the show was like at its peak. Like after season 3 or 4, I read all the books and everything, and I really got into it. Ugh. Excuse me. Yeah. I'm going to have to get another Coke before we continue here. and I will never watch it again. I really do still like those first couple of seasons. It went off the rails, but a lot to like about those first, particularly season 1 was fantastic. Okay. I suppose now we should pivot towards talking about important stuff. We've been chit-chatting for a while here. Let me just get let me get a Diet Coke here. I'm really ready to go. Very important question. Did I have an airport drink? I'm going to say yes. I think that's the cool thing about, I hate flying. That's the thing about airports, though, is that like the rules are just go out the window. The rules about when you're allowed to drink and when you're not allowed to, I absolutely think that you should do that. Having another spiced Coke Zero, only realized today that it's actually a raspberry flavor. I would like to try another one as well. When I was at the grocery store, I didn't see like I wouldn't have minded getting a thing of like cans of it. Chin chin. Ugh. Before we continue, folks, I would just like to remind everybody that the only way that I am able to continue doing this show each and every day is through the incredible generosity of the TRRS community members, of the Rob Russo Show community members. So if you can, please subscribe to the show. It's $5 a month. You get all the emotes, some of the very best emotes on this whole platform. You can support the work that I do on here. You can support the community. You can join the Friendship Triangle system. That's Twitch's only two-dimensional triangle-shaped friendship access and trickle-down clout tiered reward system. You can join the base level, move up into the chaos zone, all the way to the elite tier of the Friendship Triangle system by subscribing and gifting subs. Every little bit helps. It's the only way that I'm able to keep doing this show each and every day. I really love doing this show in this community. It's something that I'm hugely proud of.
You've just become an elite member of the Friendship Triangle.
And the only way that I'm able to keep doing it is through the extreme generosity of community members like Comrade Bushy, who always comes through and bails me out. Thank you for the 5 gifted subs, Comrade Bushy. Very, very much appreciated. Thank you for that. Move from base needs like shelter and food up to self-actualization. It's perfect. It's a win-win-win. You benefit, I benefit. That's it's like the way China makes deals with other nations. It's like Chinese foreign policy. It's all based on mutual benefit. Que bono. Well, we both do. We both benefit. That's the beauty of it. It's win-win. It's win-win. I receive a small amount of income that I can continue doing this show, and I can pay for rent and groceries and like cake mix to make cakes with my son. And you get to be part of a wonderful community. And you get access to the trickle-down clout system. You meet all kinds of fantastic new people. Your life gets better. My life gets better.
Rob to talk you through all this.
It's beautiful. Perfect Speller, thanks for the 7 months of tier 1. This Love to Rib initiative. That's right. Wouldn't it be 3
You can
wins?
count on me.
Since it's a triangle. I guess that makes sense
to
as well.
talk you through all this.
It's good. No, it is, because I win, you win, and the community wins, which is really the most important thing. Anon, thank you for the gifted sub as well. They produced Kate. Wait, let me see a link. I'll believe it when I see it. I'll believe it when I see it. We'll see about this. Give me a link. Let's see this. Let's see this so-called proof. I would love to see it. You, the community, the 3 corners of the friendship triangle. Couldn't have said it better myself, Barfcast. Absolutely. Haven't seen anything, but I'm going to go ahead and wildly speculate that it's a clone. Me too. Excuse me. Me too. I think if I'm being honest now, like, there's no real evidence that now they could put out a video. You know what I mean? Now they could. Now they can put out whatever pictures they want, whatever video they want. We know that there's something else going on, though. Now there's nothing they can really do. Oh, good. Now this is really throwing a cold bucket of water on this. Kate Middleton announced she's receiving treatment for cancer following abdominal surgery. Well, that's less fun.
I wanted to take this opportunity to say thank you.
That's less fun to joke around about.
All the wonderful messages of support and for your understanding whilst I've been recovering from surgery. It has been an incredibly tough couple of months for our entire family, but I've had a fantastic medical team who have taken great care of me, for which I'm so grateful.
Now we're all assholes. Well played, royal family. Here's the thing, though. Is that what's happening? Is that what's happening? Is that what the diagnosis is? Are they gaslighting us to make us feel bad?
In January, I underwent major abdominal surgery in London, and at the time, it was thought that my condition was non-cancerous. The surgery was successful. However, tests after the operation found cancer had been present. My medical team therefore advised that I should undergo a course of preventative chemotherapy, and I'm now in the early stages of that treatment. This, of course, came as a huge shock, and William and I have been doing everything we can to process and manage this privately for the sake of our young family. As you can imagine, this has taken time. It has taken me time to recover from major surgery in order to start my treatment. But most importantly, it has taken us time to explain everything to George, Charlotte, and Louis in a way that's appropriate for them.
And using the kids as well as it's because we didn't want to explain to them. All the manipulative, gaslighting tricks being used here. Oh, you're also wildly speculating on this? Well, guess what, asshole? I have cancer, and we were trying to figure out a way to tell our beautiful children about that. What do you think about that? It almost seems a little bit too perfect, doesn't it? It seems like a little too perfect of an excuse.
Them that I'm going to be okay. As I've said to them, I am well and getting stronger every day by focusing on the things that will help me heal in my mind, body, and spirits. Having William by my side is a great source of comfort and reassurance too, as is the love, support, and kindness that has been shown by so many of you. It means so much to us both. We hope that you'll understand that as a family, we now need some time, space, and privacy while I complete my treatment.
You've kind of given up on the
My
privacy
work has always brought me a deep sense
when you
of joy,
join this rotten
and I look
family
forward to
of
being back when I'm able.
welfare
For now, I must
scammers.
focus on making a full recovery. At this time, I'm also thinking of all those whose lives have been affected by cancer. For everyone facing this disease, in whatever form, please do not lose faith or hope. You are not alone.
What do you think, Chad? Do we buy this? I don't care. I mean, that's a totally valid, I think that's a valid response as well. Who does benefit? That's the question. This seems very like designed perfectly to dispel all the rumors and to subtly shame the people that have been wildly speculating. Why the fake photos? That's a great question. That's a great question. As someone who lives in a country that would financially ruin me from having cancer, I don't give a fuck. I mean, that's part of it. And like I said, it's like if you want your privacy, now it's like, now you stop asking questions, stop looking into this. We need our privacy. But it's like your whole existence is subsidized by public funds. The whole family, like the whole purpose of this family is to be in public figures that sell magazines and tabloid newspapers. Now you're saying you need privacy? Knowing them, I'd chalk up the Photoshop to them being narcissists. I mean, still, it was like 2 weeks ago. You can't just take a regular photo with the kids? You can't just take a regular photo? Regardless of any kind of health issues you're dealing with? I was right there draining her life force and into King Chuck and siphoning off the cancer into her. I mean, I think that's something we need to examine, at least. That's something we should at least ask him some questions about. I don't know. Seems a little convenient to me. It seems a little too convenient for me. By the way, check this out. Check this out. They're calling him. They're almost calling him 100K Rob. We're starting to hear a whisper campaign about 100K Rob. It's on the horizon. It's on the horizon. $100K Rob. There's the Alex Jones tweet. Like, I don't know if they call him Mr. 100K derogatory. It has made life online hell. Most would lose sleep over this. Okay. Trying to get serious here. Like, I don't even know. Can we even watch this video? Did you watch this video, chat? It's horrifying, this video. Like, I don't even think we can watch it on stream. It's literally a video of 4 people being murdered. I didn't has the blur when the strike happens. Not the one that I saw. Or yeah, no, maybe there was some kind of a blur situation. Still, I don't think we can even look at it. But this is the video that Alex Jones was responding to that led to that tweet. Well, okay, so Old Dutch, this is exactly what I was about to say. This is the type of footage that got Assange arrested and tortured. That was the first thing I thought of. I thought of that collateral murder video that Chelsea Manning leaked. You know, Chelsea Manning gave up years of her life, was like tortured in prison after leaking that footage to Assange and WikiLeaks. And I was thinking about the big controversy that caused. You know, that collateral murder video where you're seeing these like US drone pilots or helicopter pilots or whatever deliberately targeting people and deliberately murdering people, laughing about it. And all the controversy that caused, to the point that like it's 10 years later, more than 10 years later now, and Assange is still being persecuted for it. Chelsea Manning was luckily pardoned. But Assange is still being persecuted for that. And I think it's really like, it's amazing that we see like every day videos coming out of Israel, so oftentimes being released by Israel themselves, that is either on par or worse than that. Every day for the last like 5-6 months. And this is the ultimate example of that. And nothing happens. Like nothing happens. And this video, if you haven't seen it, it's fucking horrifying. It's like 4 young men, unarmed, walking back to their destroyed homes in Khan Yunis. And they're just targeted by this Israeli drone strike, and they're blown up. They're blown up in one initial strike. 3 of them are killed instantly. And then you have one guy like stumbling away for another 35, 45 seconds, and they track him and then blow him up too. Unarmed. Just like, it's one of the most it's one of the most horrifying things that I've seen. And we've seen a lot of horrifying things over the last couple of months. But it's like most dangerous game stuff. It's like hunting and almost toying with unarmed people and just blowing them up from a distance. Like, it is absolutely grotesque and disgusting. Man-made horrors beyond our comprehension. And again, this is what Alex Jones says. He says, Israel has lost the high ground. This is not war, it's robotic mass genocide. Section 1091 of Title 18 United States Code prohibits genocide, whether committed in time of peace or time of war. Genocide is defined in Article 1091, Section 1091, and includes violent attacks with a specific intent to destroy, in whole or in part, a national, ethnic, racial, or religious group. And I said, big congratulations to everyone getting outflanked by Alex Jones on this. And like, so I guess there's people mad about it. I never really look. But I saw people starting doing discourse about this kind of commentary. So I just assumed that people probably were. But again, because you are in this chat, you're not like morons and you understand what the point of this is. You know, just to reiterate though, when you say this kind of thing, you know, it's not handing it to Alex Jones. I don't think you have to hand it to Alex Jones. RIP your For You Twitter feed for clicking on an Alex Jones tweet. Well, I never look at the For You feed anyways, which just seems to be already, prior to this, just a bunch of people that I fucking hate. Obviously, this means Alex Jones is on my side. I think it's important to point out, I mentioned this up front, I think it's important to point out when psychotic right-wing cranks end up having better positions on certain foreign policy issues than the average liberal. It doesn't mean that we like these guys. I've talked about Tucker Carlson a lot. Tucker Carlson, when it comes to foreign policy issues such as Ukraine, often says things that I think are true. I think Tucker Carlson, when it comes to Ukraine, has a better stance than a lot of the liberals or like NAFO guys that have been out there advocating for the Ukraine war to just like continue indefinitely and to escalate indefinitely. That does not mean that we think Tucker Carlson or Alex Jones are good. We're not handing it to them. Yeah, and same with Alex Jones, risk inverse. You say Tucker says true things to push even bigger lies. And same with Alex Jones. And you'll notice in these moments, it gives them a kind of credibility. And I think it's really important to point out when these types of people start taking better stances on these issues than the average liberal, precisely because it helps them. It's not because I want to give them credit, or I'm saying, look at this person's good now. Look, this person has good takes. That's obviously not the point. But my point is, though, when every single mainstream liberal is like refusing to say this, just consistently backing a genocide Joe Brandon, and supporting Israel, downplaying all these attacks, and you have people like Alex Jones that start to sound like they're making sense, it just helps the Alex Joneses of the world. It helps the Tucker Carlsons of the world. Because people end up going, oh, maybe what this guy's saying makes a lot of sense on this issue. And then they get pulled into this world of like reactionary conspiracy theory nonsense, which oftentimes is anti-Semitic as well. This is exactly why I think it's important to point this out. You know, it's not that I think people should start listening to Alex Jones. I don't think that, unless you think Alex Jones is just entertaining. And I do find him quite entertaining sometimes, even if many of the things that he says are very grotesque. But it's not saying like, oh, he's good now. He's good now. It's pointing out that it's like this is a dangerous situation when right-wing lunatics start taking better stances on these issues than average liberals, average Joe Brandon voters. You've gifted the right wing the high ground. This is the problem. This post that I'm showing here, this is a criticism of average liberals that have supported Israel. It's not a pro Alex Jones idea, or it's not a pro Alex Jones post. This is a criticism of the fact that like this is where we're at, where you have these like lunatic right-wing cranks coming to better positions than like the average mainstream liberal. That's a big problem. And this only helps Alex Joneses of the world. It helps the Tucker Carlsons of the world. It helps the Candace Owens of the world. Candace Owens is another person who just left the Daily Wire for not being pro-Israel enough. Like when they're the people with mainstream platforms that are taking this stance, that just helps them. The TikTok thing is another example, right? You saw like Donald Trump coming to the right side of that. You know, it just helps them. It doesn't mean that we like them. Their morality is more depraved than he's Sandy Hook denier on this. Yeah. Jones is better at realpolitik than libs. Well, like even people were pointing out in the comments to this tweet, like, oh, he's just grifting. This is just another grift. Okay, yeah, I agree. But he obviously sees which way the wind is blowing and is getting on the right side of it, and he's doing that more so than the average like New York Times reading liberal. You know, that's a problem. That is not good. Yeah, then what's your excuse? It's beyond depraved that the CBC just can just straight up not report these atrocities. And if they do, it's buried pages deep and accompanied by a completely misleading Israeli-approved headline. I mean, Old Dutch, I was fucking heated yesterday watching that segment with that 12-minute interview with Anthony Housefather about his hurt feelings about the Israel amendment that was passed, or the non-binding resolution. With zero questions asked about how can you continue to support this? You know, whether you're talking about the footage that this tweet is in reference to, the intentional famine, the intentional starvation, tens of thousands of little kids killed, thousands of little kids maimed for life, traumatized for life, people starving, 30,000 people killed. Not one question to Anthony Housefather about how he can possibly continue to support that. And it's all, how did this make you feel? Do you feel betrayed by your own party, sir? Do you feel betrayed that your party is saying that they're going to cut off arms deals to Israel? How does that make you feel? You're the victim. Like, it's insane. It is absolutely insane. Two things can be true at the same time. Like, he's a grifting POS and there's a genocide going on. Yeah, and he's using that language that there's still liberals equivocating on. There's still liberals saying like, well, genocide, like fucking Destiny. And yeah, I agree, Michelle. I don't think it seems like it's been stuck on the 30,000 number now for a couple of weeks. You know, all the health infrastructure has been destroyed. And it's not just this, like there's the reporting of like what's going on at the Al-Shifa hospital. There's reporting of like IDF soldiers just executing people. Like it is Nazi shit. We're just getting reports of this, summary executions. We're getting reports of this every single day. Every single day now. And we're still being like, oh, but October 7th, like that clip of Karine Jean-Pierre, or whatever her name is. Oh, but October 7th. And this is just still being allowed to continue. And if we're just ignoring the atrocities, and then we're bringing on supporters of Israel and like to asking how their hurt feelings are doing. It was roughly 10,000 every month. The conservative estimate would be 50,000. Yeah, and this is anecdotal evidence, but we've heard rumors, like, again, all the hospital infrastructure, the health infrastructure is all being destroyed. People are having their families killed, and they're just burying them in the backyard and not reporting the deaths. To say nothing of how many people are trapped under rubble that have not been recovered yet. And we're reaching a starvation tipping point, and you've got disease as well, like as this health infrastructure has been deliberately targeted. Deliberately destroyed. Poder talks about how Israel and Western accomplices have effectively normalized atrocities. Flood the zone and nothing sticks. It's like the Gish-Gallop strategy for war crimes and genocide. Well, that drone footage is like the ultimate example of that, old Dutch, right? Like I said, the collateral murder video led to the huge international outcry, that the reverberations of which are still being felt today. And now we see shit like this every single day for 6 months, every day. And we're still equivocating, and we're still talking about Israel's right to defend itself, and we're still talking about October 7th. Not even a blip on our national broadcasters' platforms. Also, there are many times more injuries than deaths in war. Where are the numbers for how many lost limbs? Or will feel the effects of malnutrition for the rest of their shortened lives. Look at this. On that subject. This is the biggest cohort of pediatric amputees in history. a reconstructive surgeon who specializes in pediatric trauma, said of the record number of children who have been injured in the war in Gaza. Like, read that again. This is the biggest cohort of pediatric amputees in history. So again, yeah, it's right that it's like, it's not enough to just focus on the tens of thousands of little kids that have been murdered. How many kids are we talking about here that have lost limbs? To say nothing of the ones that have just been mentally traumatized for life. To say nothing of the ones that are being starved right now. Yeah, intentionally disabling people. This is like what they've been doing for, and this is not even like about the last 6 months. This is like part of what the IDF does, intentionally disabling people. Look at all the people that like showed up at the Great March of Return that were disabled because of prior interactions with the IDF and Israeli snipers, and then were targeted again at the Great March of Return. For all the dumb fucks that talk about the ceasefire before October 7th and all this stuff. It's interesting how too, like when you look at the like overtly Nazi stuff that's going on here, you know, just in the last 6 months, the way that like that totally, as much as people talk about October 7th, like it's like anyone that would dare to equivocate or suggest that it was okay or ask questions about that is some kind of moral monster. When it's just like you do the simple thought experiment, especially knowing what we know now about the Holocaust and the final solution. If Jews under Nazi rule escaped a concentration camp or escaped some kind of ghetto that they were trapped in and attacked German soldiers and also German civilians, would anyone shed a tear? Would anyone say, "Oh wow, we got to condemn this. We got to condemn this. This is horrifying." Would anyone shed a tear about that? About the German civilians in a Nazi country that were killed in these uprisings? Would anyone shed one single tear? I just went to the Holocaust Museum yesterday. They had a whole section on the ghetto uprisings. That's right. And look at this fucking depravity. Oh my God. Look at this shit. This is the biggest cohort of pediatric amputees in history. Number one comment, Hamas fault. Human shields. If they free the hostages, the war is over. This is like what has been normalized here. This is what has been normalized. And this is not one of these random blue checks that just paid for a blue check. This is a guy on Twitter with 142K followers. This is what's been normalized. People responding to this. To Israel and their violence and their depravity, leading to the biggest cohort of pediatric amputees in history, and immediately people like Martin justifying it. You know, this is the type of sickness now that this is like spreading throughout our society. You're justifying little kids having their fucking limbs blown off and being treated many times with now no anesthetic. And just refusing to blame the people that are doing the maiming, the people that are dropping the bombs, the people that are targeting these people with snipers, the people that are deliberately starving them, refusing to blame the army that have planes and tanks and bombs and guns and soldiers. Refusing to blame the army that is deliberately engaging in this still after 6 months. Like, that is just sick. It's sickening. It's sickening. They still go on about the human shield part. Yeah, and I think that was one of the big takeaways from that October 7th documentary as well. Who uses human shields? when you build settlements and you tell people around the world, Jewish people around the world, this is the only places they're safe, and you build settlements around a concentration camp filled with desperate people who you routinely murder and kidnap and maim and arrest and dehumanize and exploit, and you surround these locations with settlements filled with people, and then lo and behold, they're in the line of fire when there's a prison break. Who's using human shields and who's not? Yeah, I mean, like what you're saying, even the most cynical viewpoint, if it was a human shield, who says like, oh, they're using this child as a human shield, and then they shoot the child? Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? That's not an excuse. Even if that was true, which it is not. It's not an excuse. I had to maim that child. It was being used as a human shield. And again, those 4 young men that were targeted by that drone strike in that video that I'm talking about, they're not being used as human shields. They're literally just unarmed people walking around with no weapons, posing no threat to anyone, and they were just murdered for no reason, except that they're Palestinian. That's not a human shield. These are the reports coming out. The Israeli military is taking Palestinians in groups of 3 to 10 people at a time and executing them inside of a hospital. From this article in Euromedmonitor.org. About 4 times during that period, I saw soldiers lead groups of detainees, always at least 3 people and never more than 10, into the hospital buildings, particularly the morgue buildings where bodies had previously been kept. Gunshots were heard, with the soldiers then leaving the area to bring in another group. Like this is the Nazi shit that we were told about when we were kids, about the evils and the crimes of the Nazis. Like it's literally happening right now. There was just a mass shooting at a mall in Moscow. I did see that. I saw that, yeah. That instantly leads to a lot of kind of speculation about what that's about. Yeah, these are death squads. Israel has the ability to not shoot civilians. If they wanted the civilian population on their side, they would just do that. But they choose not to because they're A, psychotic, and B, scared shitless that every civilian is an enemy anyway. Or not even scared, but just like they just want to murder people. These are just like they're absolute fucking psychos. Is it the most recent post on Euromed? I'll link the piece. It's right there. They do love it. Like they've been very open about this. They do love it. They love it and they take pleasure in it. You mean Hamas sympathizers? And that's the ultimate question. Like, how could you live or grow up in this environment and live through this situation and not be a Hamas sympathizer? Like, Jesus Christ. Like, people need to ask themselves how they would react if this was their child, their son or their daughter or their niece or nephew, their aunt, their uncle, their mother, their father. Like, how would you react? Oh, I'm just going to go vote harder. That's what you would say, right? When you're being occupied by this army for 70 fucking years And there's been this nonstop violence and dehumanization and exploitation for decades and decades. Oh, I'm just going to go vote even harder. Oh, they killed my children. They killed my family. Oh, I'll go protest even harder now. I'm going to write a letter to my congressman. I'm going to sign a petition. Like, people think it's really surprising that there's sympathy for Hamas in Gaza or Palestine. You know? People really find it hard to believe. Oh, they celebrated what is happening on October 7th. Can you believe that? Can you believe they celebrated that people like escaped from their prison camp and took the fight to these IDF guys for the first time in generations? Yeah, no, that's not surprising that was celebrated. That's not surprising. I'm trying to just find another post that I had wanted to reference. Like, it's just everyday stories like this, every single day. Al Jazeera, I'm not going to play this, whatever this footage is. Al Jazeera has footage of another body crushed by an Israeli tank. The bottom half of the body has been completely pulverized, with the track marks clearly visible. You also see a fleeing family, including children, forced to walk by the body, which just seems to be like a common thing that they're doing as well. IDF is a breeding ground for psychopathy and narcissism. You're encouraged to bully and abuse a targeted people, scapegoat, and encouraged in the camaraderie that is based on hate. I wanted to look at this. I haven't watched this yet. For a week, I embedded myself. This is this guy, Jeremy Lofredo. For a week, I embedded myself with Jewish Israeli nationalists who believe it's a worthy cause and religious duty to block desperately needed humanitarian aid at the Gaza border. They enjoyed pastries with the military while confessing to war crimes and cheering for genocide. So when we talk about the IDF and we talk, are they in the IDF? Are they not in the IDF? Are they civilians? Are they not civilians? Let's hear from some of these civilians. I haven't watched this yet.
אנחנו פה במעבר ניצן, היום יום רביעי בצהריים, השמש שוקדת ואנחנו פה באים לחצות המשאיות של חמאס, הנאצים ועוזריהם. כמו שאתם רואים, אנחנו פה במקום הזה חוסמים פה את המעבר וגם בחלק השני חוסמים את המעבר. כמו שאתם רואים מרחוק, כאן המשאיות של החמאס והנאצים.
And I don't hear any bullshit as well. Oh, gray zone. Oh, you're like a gray zone tanky. Oh, Max Blumenthal. I don't give a shit. I don't care. And like this, listen, this is their own words. This is these motherfuckers in their own words, explaining exactly what their beliefs are and why they're doing what they're doing. Doesn't every civilian have mandated service? They're all IDF. I think that's a good point. But I think it's worth pointing out as well, just like the people, whether they're part of this military establishment or not, the extremely common views that they have.
כל המסעות של העזרה של הנאצים, כל זה בעצם מפוצץ במשאיות של חמאס והעזרה שלהם. תבואו לחסום, תבואו.
לחסום את המשאיות שלא ייכנסו לתוך מצרים, וממצרים זה עובר כאילו לתוך עזה, והחמאס משתלט על זה, וזה כאילו מגיע לחמאס, ובהתחלה זה מצליח. הנה, עובדה שהיה אמור להיכנס מפה משאיות כבר מ-10 בבוקר, ואנחנו פה ולא נותנים להם להיכנס, וכבר זה פה כבר כמה ימים המשאיות לא נכנסות, והנה זה עובד. אני חושב שצריך, לא יודע, אני חושב שצריך כולם להיות מאוחדים, ואנחנו צריכים, אנחנו נכנסים, צריך להיכנס חזרה לעזה ולהשתלט שם על המדינה. להשתלט שתהיה מדינה שם.
Like, tell me a way that this is going to end without, like, a forced de-Zionification. Like, tell me this is a nation still and a people that have a right, not only a right to defend themselves, but a right to exist. It's a collective genocidal frenzy. Like, this needs to be stopped. It's like, this just cannot continue. Not only can this specific incident not continue, but like, this society cannot be allowed to continue to exist. I'm sorry to say.
On the trailer of this truck is wheat flour for the starving and besieged people of the Gaza Strip. But this humanitarian aid and thousands more aid shipments are not making it to the Palestinians in Gaza because Israelis have decided to engage in a direct action blockade. For over a week, I embedded myself with Jewish Israeli nationalists who believe it's a worthy cause and even a religious duty to drive hours from the comfort of their illegal settlements in the West Bank and residential neighborhoods in Jerusalem and bring their loved ones to the Karim Shalom and Nitzana border crossings to block the humanitarian aid trucks from delivering desperately needed food to starving Palestinians. At around 6 in the morning, a bus departs from Jerusalem. It heads south, passing through the West Bank, with stops at a handful of illegal, highly militarized Israeli settlements to pick up dozens of extremist miners and bring them to the borders of Gaza and Egypt. Once the settlers arrive there, they're met by dozens of other Israelis who drove themselves and their families to the border by navigating the back roads of southern Israeli kibbutzim.
Only democracy in the Middle East. Look at that.
Designated by Israel as closed military zones. Any civilian in the area is supposed to be swiftly removed and arrested. Instead, the military and police are actively supporting and encouraging these illegal humanitarian aid blocks. As soon as the settlers show up at these crossings, the military, meant to secure the area, stands down and guides everyone to the border gates. Then, the Israeli military uses the presence of civilians, which they invited and escorted, to justify the closing of the humanitarian aid crossing gate for hours and sometimes entire days.
And this is what, and you have politicians in Canada and the United States being like, if only we could get this aid in. We got to airdrop aid. We got to build a new port so we can get aid in. We're so concerned. We're so deeply concerned about this aid not getting in, while not ever mentioning the reason that the fucking aid is not getting in. And this is not just civilians acting on their own account. This is state sanctioned. This is being totally supported and sanctioned by the military and the establishment of our greatest ally, our greatest, closest ally, which has this perpetual, endless right to defend itself, no matter how much criminality they engage in. And no one can say, like, Israel's blocking the aid. These sniveling, cowardly, genocidal psychopaths go up there and talk about how concerned they are about people being starved in Gaza and won't say one goddamn word about who are the people intentionally doing the starving.
The trucks are supposed to pass through Israel from Egypt for inspection. Once inspected by the Israeli authorities, they head into Gaza. Officially, the protesters justify the blocking of aid by insisting it's all going to Hamas, a claim repeated by the Israeli government, even as the U.S. State Department stringently rejects it.
כדי לעצור את הסיוע ההומניטרי שנותנים לפלסטינים בעזה.
And they've still been trying to equivocate. There's still been people trying to like equivocate. Oh, it's not, it's not that it's being blocked, and trying to like hem and haw and trying to make some kind of excuse. And then you have these civilians themselves saying, I'm here to block humanitarian aid. Ram, are you in Rafah right now? Goodness.
שנכנס אוכל וסיוע הומניטרי לפלסטין כל עוד החטופים שלנו בפנים, אבל בעזה אין רעב, לפי דעתי, ממה שאני רואה אין רעב. הם עושים את עצמם.
They're faking and pretending.
חייבים לעצור את כל הסיוע.
And this is all these are like, this is the ultimate disgusting irony of this. These are all the exact same things that were said about Jews during the Holocaust. Oh, they're faking. They're not really they're not really being persecuted. This is the blood libel.
You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Thank you, Anon, for the gifted sub.
עד שאחרון החטופים יחזור לישראל. יכול להיות שהם צריכים עזרה, אבל העזרה לא צריכה להגיע מאיתנו. הם פתחו מלחמה.
It could be that they need help, but it should not be coming from Israel. Israel controls every single way in and out of Gaza. There is no way to get people help without going through Israel, unless you count these like aid drops that have been going on, which is nowhere near enough and are actually killing people.
שהם צריכים עזרה, אבל העזרה לא צריכה להגיע מאיתנו. הם פתחו מלחמה ואין סיוע לאויב. אין סיוע לאויב.
They share snacks, refreshments, laughs, and party on the edge of an area that UN Secretary General Luis Guterres has described as a graveyard for children.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Thanks, Diego, for the gifted sub. This is insane. And look how the kids are indoctrinated. And again, it's always a confession, right? What do they say about Palestine? Oh, they train their kids in Gaza to hate Israelis, to hate Jews. They indoctrinate their kids with this hateful anti-Semitic ideology. And then it's always an accusation. It's always a confession. It is every single time it's a confession. They're bringing their kids to have a party to block food and crucial aid getting to other starving kids inside this fence.
The settlers bring cotton candy mix, machine guns, pastries, their babies, prayer books, and loudspeakers. The military allows them to store their belongings and evade the blistering desert sun inside concrete IDF security bunkers. Even handicapped settlers who can't walk manage to traverse the dirt paths with crutches and wheelchairs, joining the direct action aid blockade with an escort and support from Israeli police.
We give pastries for the people, for the soldiers, for the cops, for everybody. This is what we give to our people.
You're American, sir.
This is really humanitarian, okay? They need to block the aid to Gaza. They need to block the gas to Gaza. Everything to block. And this is what we do every week, 2, 3, 4 times a week. What's up?
What is so-called humanitarian aid to Gaza is just a joke. And the police is aware of that. And this is the reason why it is without any violence. They say, off the records, look, we are with you. So the atmosphere is nice, yeah? The people of Gaza, the population, is deeply with the Hamas. There is no difference between the Hamas and the population. The aim is here to bring the population to such a situation that they will just stand against the Hamas and say, stop, we want to eat, we want to get our life back, just release the hostages, enough is enough. At this place in Itzana, at the boundary with Egypt, nothing, no truck crossed over for the so-called humanitarian aid to Gaza. So we are efficient, and we have to keep doing what we have to do.
So no food, no nothing?
No, they don't deserve it. What I care? Kill them, I don't care.
Do you trust Palestinians?
No, I know all about them. I don't trust them. I want them out of here.
What do you think should happen to Gaza?
I want to be civilized with Jews from Israel, so we can be in peace in there.
This young man was present at every aid blocking action for the last 2 weeks. He was in Gaza for the first 2 months of the military operation.
We've been training for 1 month and then we got inside Gaza. And then we've been there for 2 months. My unit...
Like, this whole but Hamas, but October 7th thing, like, is that really supposed to have the same impact? Is that really supposed to mean anything? Is that really supposed to justify anything? I'm really trying to like watch what I say here.
Was in charge of explosions. We blew up.
This is a good question, Old Dutch. Like we're starting to. It's starting to get to the point where it's like we got to start asking these kinds of questions.
I remember we got into some UN office that was in charge.
Can this be resolved with diplomacy?
Families in Gaza that was affected by the war, and we destroyed it. We've been dealing with the tunnels.
Were you ever in a tunnel?
No, we didn't, but we have the equipment to investigate what's happening there and then to destroy it.
On numerous occasions, blocking humanitarian aid was not enough for the Israelis. They had already successfully blocked the aid for the entire day, and then they began approaching the Egyptian border in order to breach it. Once there, they would attempt to attack and taunt Egyptian truck drivers. Egyptian soldiers watched impassively as the settlers tried to evade the Israeli military and get into Egypt. And even then, the military did not arrest anyone for breaking countless laws and risking a major diplomatic incident. Instead, they ushered the Israeli settlers, who had just attempted to illegally breach the border to attack Egyptians, onto a bus that drove them 300 feet up the street and then dropped them off.
The police man, the head commander, came to us and said, okay, you guys came and blocked, we don't want to fight. And he said to us, I will just lock the gate, you guys don't need to stand in the sun. We got lollipops, we got watermelon from the police.
Lollipops and watermelons.
Yeah, watermelons, and was great with them.
They essentially agree with you. They also agree that there should be no aid going
Well, duh, they also have friends and family which are kidnapped and are murdered and are dying. IDF soldiers, we are the same family, we're the same nation, we have the same goals. The best way is to transfer them to Europe. Europe already accepted, past the 10 years, accepted more than 100 million refugees. I don't think that another 1.5 million refugees would make any difference for the Europeans. And as the Bible says, this place is for us, it's promised for us, so they can starve to death to pay on the things that they've done to us on the 7th of October.
Though the Biden administration has given Israel all the military support it needs and then some to level much of the Gaza Strip, most Israelis seem to believe the Biden administration is holding Israel back from achieving its final solution. They perceive their humanitarian aid blocking strategy as a kind of direct action that will help the Israeli government carry out one of its key objectives, deepening the humanitarian catastrophe in Gaza and thereby forcing its population to flee, while giving the government plausible deniability. According to the protesters, the government is in a tough spot with pressure from Washington. They're not asking the government to do anything differently. They argue that they're doing what needs to be done and taking things into their own hands.
I must say that I think our own government is in this specific issue is kind of in a knot, because we're allowed to continue the war only if we let supplies in. I don't even want to, I'm not even pleading to the government. People that are here are not doing that. We're here to stop the supplies. And so there'll be no political issue. We're just here to do what needs to be done. If the government or other people are not doing what they need to do, we'll do it. I have no message to anyone. We're here to do.
Bibi is a puppet of Biden, because we cleaned all Gaza, except in Rafiah. We know all the live hostages are in Rafiah. Why aren't we going in there? Because Biden asked us not to. That's the only reason. There's no reason not to.
Of course, we have to listen to our sugar daddy. We have to listen, to the biggest superpower in the world, because they're standing on our side, the democratic Western side. But the Israeli public doesn't want it. And we're here to make sure that until 4 o'clock, 4:30, when they close, make sure no single truck will feed our enemies while they molest, while they rape, and while they kill the hostages they took 5 months ago. from 2002 until recently, we have been through I would say, kind of intifada, a journey of murder, which they use knives to kill Israelis, they use, in many cases, guns, they use pistols, they use cocktail Molotov.
And what do you do?
They kill a lot of Jews, but we have airplanes, you see? We can erase them 1 second. Once we use what we have, once we know how to use our assets, and not afraid to use what we have, we destroy Gaza. We annihilated a huge part of Gaza. We can do it also, the Palestinian, Judea and Samaria and the West Bank. We have weapons, we can use it. We need the right circumstances, we need the right leaders. We have goddamn sexy F-16.
Not even what happened before 2002, what's been happening since?
All our enemies, until the last of
Is it
them
just some
decided
one-sided
to
thing
over
since
this
then? I don't
kind
think
of
so.
conception, a kind of state of mind that we are subjected to the world, the community of the world and the nations of the world, and we are somehow limited, but it's only temporarily. We will unleash our strengths very much soon.
We don't think that the Torah says that we're supposed to feed our enemies when the Torah is supposed to hashmid them. We're supposed to destroy them. Or at least, take back the land that is part of Eretz Yisrael, the land of Israel. And I don't think you can
American.
find any Jew in Israel that says it's a good idea to give assistance to our enemy when they have, 100 plus chatufim. But we're under a regime, if you will, of the government that orders that. A dictatorship that unfortunately folds to the desires of the West, that being the United States of America.
By 5 in the afternoon, the Israeli truck inspectors go home, whether the humanitarian aid trucks were inspected and sent to Gaza or not. If blocking the aid was successful, which it almost always was, the Israelis celebrate and then go home. Some of the settlers hang back and pitch tents and stay at their crossing overnight to make sure no aid trucks pass early in the morning. Presumably, because of the bad optics, the military often destroys the tents in the morning, while allowing the settlers to illegally remain in the closed military zone in order to continue blocking the humanitarian aid.
יש בתוכו בן אדם. אתה שובר את האוהל. רכוש פרטי, אתה שובר את האוהל, גבר.
Well, that's a good point too, Frozen Minutes. Do they not want the hostages to get food? How can they eat if no food gets in? Of course, they don't really care about the hostages. They just use them to justify their bloodlust. Like, they're starving the hostages as well.
Transform it into a beachfront, Jews-only region of Israel.
We love the Gaza Strip. We can't just take a whole strip of land and say Israelis can't live there. That
American.
doesn't make sense. This is our sovereign state.
Our sovereign state, ma'am. You're from America.
Of course.
By the beach?
Oh, for sure. Yes, my
You're
husband's
fucking
also
American.
Talking about building. He has a yeshiva, Talmudic Institute here. So building a branch in Gaza. We have lists already about 500 families that are willing, on the drop of a hat, to just move into. We have north, central, and south.
And these are how these settlements start.
Gaza. And people are going to start building towns. We have names of the towns. We have where we're building them. It's already being planned. And we have people signed up. You can't leave it without Jews in the Gaza Strip. It's too big a piece of land.
You're from fucking like New Jersey, ma'am.
For us to let it become Hamas town, as we call it, full of terrorists.
צהריים טובים לכולם. הצעדה הזאת שמתקיימת כאן בעיר שדרות באה להגיד דבר אחד, לחזור להתיישב בחבל עזה. שהתושבים יגיעו להתיישב בחבל עזה. אנחנו דורשים, זה שנפלו לנו כל כך הרבה חיילים וכל כך הרבה אזרחים, לא מוכנים לחזור למצב שהיה, וזה מה ששווה, זה הנקמה הכי טובה שיכולה להיות, לחזור לחבל עזה, להתיישב.
These Israelis got into their cars and followed each other to the TRRS border crossing, a military entrance to Gaza about 1 mile west. The army would not allow them to pass certain roadblocks, so they turned off the road and finished the drive by using a maze of dirt roads through the agricultural lands of different kibbutzim. I passed several signs warning drivers that we are now in an Israeli military sniper zone. Don't worry, they won't shoot near these settlers, my translator reassured me. The Israelis arrived at the crossing and entered Gaza, where they used drills and plywood to construct symbolic wooden outposts before the army removed them for their own safety.
I will say that it's sometimes hard in these moments to know exactly what to say. Like, I really got to be careful. I know we all hope it ends. And that's why it's been frustrating for those of us here in the West, Bram. Like, I'm in Canada, our friends in America. I mean, it's been a nightmare seeing our governments continue to support this and to talk nonstop about Israel's endless right to defend itself. And anytime you talk about the criminality of Israel, whether it's the criminality of the settlements or the criminality that they've been engaged in over the last 6 months, the mass murder, the ethnic cleansing. And all our political figures want to talk about is October 7th. All they want to talk about is Hamas. All they want to talk about is people's hurt feelings, whether they're the hurt feelings of like members of parliament, the hurt feelings of like people that are scared by people protesting outside of hospitals or around whatever neighborhoods that they're not allowed to, or using different slogans. Say people that say from the river to the sea. This is all we talk about. This is all we ever talk about. And we don't talk about the atrocities that we're paying for and supporting. We certainly don't talk about this sentiment in Israeli society among civilians, not among like IDF people, but civilians. This genocidal lunacy that has just like it's permeated like all throughout society. And we just don't want to say anything about it. Collective psychopathy, which includes projection and the co-opting of victimhood. Yeah, I mean, acting like they're the victims. They're the victims. The people that are the, like, obvious, the people that are the occupiers. The occupiers of the last 70 years, with full backing of every single major Western country, full backing of the United States military, billions of dollars in every year. This would not, and they're still blaming Biden. Like, you see, there's people still resent Biden for not doing enough, for telling him not to go into Rafah, for putting any limitations on them whatsoever. They're still blaming Biden for not doing enough. They're talking about Justin Trudeau now like he's some like Hamas sympathizer because of this non-binding resolution that the Liberal Party just passed. You know, it's totally sick. It really is fucking sick. Three hours ago, this piece from Al Jazeera, Anthony Blinken. Genocidal monster.
Well, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken, as you know, is in Tel Aviv. He's met with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. He's speaking now at the airport. Let's listen in.
As I did as well in my conversations with Egyptian colleagues and the Qatari Foreign Ministry yesterday. I also had a chance to meet with the hostage families again. And it's hard to describe what they're going through every single day. We made progress in the last couple of weeks on the hostage negotiations, closing gaps, but almost
and
by
this
definition.
fixation on hostages as well, while totally not ever talking about the Palestinian hostages, many of whom have been in prison for years and years now, who have been abducted as children, who have been tortured and abused in Israeli prisons and never charged with a crime. And we're still talking about, it's hard to know what the hostages' families have been going through. Like, maybe they've been going through a lot because Israel's dropping bombs on the location where they're located. Maybe they're going through this kind of like terrible trauma because the people that are still hostages in Gaza are not getting food now because of Israel blocking the food from getting in. And we're still centering them. Oh, the hostages' families. Oh, the real victims here, the real victims of all this.
And when you get down to the last items, they tend to be the hardest. So there's still a lot of work to be done, hard work to be done, but we're determined to try to get it done. We also talked about the imperative of surging and sustaining humanitarian assistance for the people in Gaza. 100% of the population of Gaza is acutely food insecure.
Why isn't the aid getting in, Anthony? Why isn't the aid getting in? Who's blocking the aid from getting in? Spare me your fucking concern about the food insecurity. Spare me your concern. You're over there meeting with Netanyahu. You're still supporting this. And then you're going to talk about the food insecurity.
100% is in need of humanitarian assistance. There have been some positive steps taken in recent days to improve the situation, but it's not enough. And we talked about what needs to happen to get much more assistance to many more people more effectively. We also talked about...
In negotiations, presume you're speaking with equal partners. You're America. You can force the issue if you choose to. We're having strong negotiations about getting this aid in. How about let the aid trucks in or no more money? Or you're cut off. No more bombs, no more guns, no more money, no more funds. How about stop the bombing campaigns, stop the violence, stop killing people, or you're cut off? Oh no, we're doing negotiations. We're having these really tough negotiations right now.
Rafah. We share Israel's goal of defeating Hamas, which is responsible for the worst massacre of the Jewish people since the Holocaust.
These people are sick.
And we share the goal of ensuring Israel's long-term security.
Still framing it like they're fucking
said,
Nazis.
Though, a major military ground operation in Rafah is not the way to do it. It risks killing more civilians. It risks wreaking greater havoc with the provision of humanitarian assistance. It risks further isolating Israel around the world.
Why create Hamas in the first place? And like what? Again, history did not start on that day. Why does, like we've talked about, why does Israel have the right to defend itself, but Palestinians don't have the right to defend itself? Well, but Rob, on October 7th, they killed civilians. Well, when Israel defends itself, what do? They kill civilians. Why does one side have this perpetual right to defend themselves, even when that means killing tens of thousands of civilians, but the other side doesn't have the right to defend themselves? And when they kill civilians, that's just an example. Oh, they're basically Nazis. They just hate people. They just hate Israelis. They hate Jews. Like, I'm so fucking tired of this. I'm so tired. It's been 6 months of this now. It's been 6 months of them saying, oh, but October 7th. And that's just the answer to everything. Why did that happen in the first place? Why were people getting to that level of desperation in the first place? What was going on prior to October 7th? Why are Palestinians joining, voting for, or supporting groups like Hamas? Like we talked about with Vijay Prashad, the occupation had been ongoing for decades by the time Hamas was created in the first place. And they delegitimized every other form of Palestinian resistance. And delegitimized that. The Nazi accusation is weird. It completely obfuscates the reality of things. Yeah, the Nazis were the power. They were the occupiers. They had the army. They had the power. You're talking about desperate people trying to defend themselves and trying to overthrow their colonial occupiers and exploiters with nothing, with no resources. It is insane.
Jeopardizing its long-term security and standing. So we're looking forward to having Israeli officials in Washington next week to talk about a different way of achieving these objectives that we share, of defeating Hamas and ensuring Israel's long-term
there's no
security.
defeating Hamas.
It really requires an integrated humanitarian, military, and political plan.
You will never defeat
As I said,
Hamas.
we'll be
And if you
talking about
do,
that next
all Israel has done and all the United States has done is ensure that there is going to be another generation of people that are going to grow up in this situation and join the next militant group, whether it's Hamas or whatever else. Like, this is fucking insane that we have to keep pretending this is valid in any way.
week, going through the details of what we see as the best way forward. We also had an opportunity to talk about the longer-term trajectory. What needs to happen once the conflict in Gaza is over. Conversations that I had with our Arab partners over the last couple of days and that we had here in Israel as well. We're determined that Israel succeed in making sure it can defend itself, that October 7th never happens again, that it emerge from this strong, secure, integrated in the region with a future of security and peace, not only for Israelis, but
It's
for
not gonna,
Palestinians
that's
and
over
for
now.
other friends in the region.
That's over.
And we believe there's a path forward to do that.
There isn't.
We'll be continuing to work to flesh out that path and to try to walk down it in the days and weeks ahead.
Amira?
Mr. Secretary, thank you. Can you give us an update on the ceasefire talks in Doha? What is the latest that you've heard from the negotiators? And also today, Israel has announced a land seizure of 800 hectares in the occupied West Bank. Just when you are doing your visit here, what are your thoughts?
So on the negotiations, I can't give you any more details other than to say that we're intensely engaged in them, working with the Qataris, working with the Egyptians, working with Israel. And we have teams in Doha. And as I said, we've gotten it down to a few remaining gaps, but the closer you get to the goal line, the harder that last yard is. So there are some hard issues to work through. But we're determined to do everything we can to get there and to get people home. The negotiators will be working intensely to see if we can get that done. I hadn't seen the news you referred to, but look, you know our views on settlement expansion. You know our views on everything from
Actually, I don't
demolitions to
know,
eviction.
Anthony. What are your views on settlement expansion? Because again, you talk about October 7th like it's just this thing that just happened for no reason in a vacuum. Perhaps this settlement expansion has contributed to that in some way. Perhaps. What are your views, actually? If your views are that these settlement expansions are illegal and that the other settlements in the West Bank are illegal, what are you doing what are you doing about that? What are you doing about these illegal settlements? You know my views on these settlements. Actually, we don't. We don't know them.
To other steps, unilateral steps that are taken that make the already challenging prospect of two states even more distant. So I haven't seen the specifics of this, but anyone taking steps that makes things more difficult, more challenging this time, is something that we have a problem with.
Tiny clarification, when you say we have teams, you mean U.S. has teams on the ground in Doha today, and can you just confirm the negotiations have begun, like they've been continuing this?
I can't, it should be going forward, if not immediately now, certainly in the hours ahead.
Michael, Todd?
Thank you. Can you tell us in practical terms what the U.S. was trying to achieve with the resolution that was put forward at the United Nations today? And then on your conversations today, you described in broad strokes some themes that are familiar. I wonder whether you delivered or heard any messages today that are new and different from your past conversations here.
So on the resolution, which got very strong support, but then was cynically vetoed by Russia and China. I think we were trying to show the
someone at the
international
UN
community sense of
cynically
urgency
vetoing something, can you
about
imagine?
getting a ceasefire tied to the release of hostages, something that everyone including the countries that vetoed the resolution, should have been able to get behind. The resolution, of course, also condemned Hamas. It's unimaginable why countries wouldn't be able to do that. But I think the fact that we got such a strong vote, despite the veto by two of the permanent members of the Security Council, again, is evidence and demonstration of
These
the
people are they're so
commitment,
sick.
the conviction of countries around the world, notably on the Security
It's so
Council.
shameless. It's been
to
months
see
of this.
about getting the ceasefire and getting the release of hostages now. That's what the resolution said. That's what it called for. And I think it showed that a strong commitment to that from many, many countries. With regard to the conversations we had, look, this is an ongoing process. As I said, we really were focused on three things: the hostage negotiations, humanitarian assistance, and Rafah. And it was important that, again, we focus on all three things. I'm not going to get into the details of what we discussed, but I think from my perspective at least, these were important, candid conversations to have at a critical time on all three of those issues. Thanks.
Israel that it will be isolated if it doesn't change its path?
Again, what I shared, and I think what they've heard from President Biden as well, directly, is we have the same goals: the defeat of Hamas, Israel's long-term security. But a major ground operation in Rafah is not, in our judgment, the way to achieve it. And we've been very clear about that. But most important, we have a senior team coming to Washington next week. We'll all be taking part in those discussions. We'll be able to lay out for them in detail. I started to do that today, but it's important that the teams with all the expertise lay out in detail how those goals can best be accomplished with an integrated humanitarian, military, and political plan. We'll put all that on the table. Of course, we'll hear from them too, and we'll take it to next week. Thanks.
Well, you've been listening there to...
The resolution was cynically vetoed. These people are such fucking sickos. It is unbelievable. Was also vetoed by Algeria. Here's the full speech by the Algerian UN ambassador. Destroying the pathetic, depraved US and genocide Joe PR stunt at the UN to pretend like they're trying to stop the Gaza genocide as they fund and arm it and try to displace blame onto China and Russia.
Thank you, Mr. President. I address to you today not only as representative of Algeria, but also as a representative of the whole Arab world. Witnessing the unfolding tragedy in Palestine. Our region is devastated by the violence inflicted upon the Palestinian people. Live scenes of destruction and killing, inflicting profound suffering, are not bearable anymore. Since the beginning of the aggression against the Palestinian people, the Arab group have consistently called to put an end to this carnage. Only by ceasing hostilities we can alleviate the immense suffering and ensure that large-scale humanitarian assistance reaches those in need. For this purpose, we presented last month a draft resolution who garnered significant support within the Security Council, but it was ultimately vetoed. We firmly believe that its adoption could have saved thousands of lives of innocent people. It is beyond any doubt that Resolution 2712 and 2720 have fallen short due to the absence of a clear demand for a ceasefire. Those who believe that the Israeli occupying power will choose to uphold its international legal obligation are mistaken. They must abandon this fiction. Mr. President, since the circulation of this draft resolution over a month ago, Algeria has participated actively and in good faith in the negotiation process, proposing reasonable edit to achieve a more balanced and acceptable text. We acknowledge the effort made by the US delegation, especially Ambassador Greenfield, in accommodating some of our proposals. However, our core concerns remained unaddressed, despite the many circulated revised versions. Throughout this process, we emphasized relentlessly the urgency of an immediate ceasefire to prevent further loss of life. We echoed the demand of millions of people and humanitarian actors for an immediate cessation of hostilities. Regrettably, the draft resolution falls short of our expectations. It fails to adequately address these main issues and the immense suffering enduring by the Palestinian people. Over 5 months, the conflict in Gaza has resulted in the tragic loss of life of more than 32,000 Palestinian lives. 32,000 Palestinian lives. More than 74,000 injuries, with 12,000 suffering permanent disabilities. These are not mere statistics. They represent lives. They represent dreams. They represent hopes who have been destroyed. Alarmingly, the text avoids mentioning the responsibility of the Israeli occupying power. These individuals were not lost due to act of self-harm. They were killed. Their perpetrators must be held accountable. For us, in the Arab world, in the Islamic nation, in the whole world. Palestinians' lives undeniably matter. Mr. President, the text presented today does not convey a clear message of peace. It tacitly allows for continuing civilian casualties and lack clear safeguard to prevent further escalation. It is a laissez-passer to continuing killing the Palestinian civilian. The emphasis on measures, I quote, on measures to reduce civilian harm from ongoing and future operation implies a license for continuing bloodshed. In this context, we are particularly concerned
Didn't realize I could
about
speed it up.
a potential military operation in Rafah. Such a military operation would have devastating consequences. Algeria, along with other regional countries, has actively pursued reconciliation between Palestinian factions because we trust that a united Palestine is essential for its future and the future of the peace process. We believe that specific provision within the draft resolution jeopardize the future of the Palestinian state and hinder ongoing reconciliation efforts. Building a Palestinian state requires the collective effort of all its citizens, And the Security Council actions should support, not impede, this process. Mr. President, UNRWA plays a vital role in assisting Palestinian refugees not only in Palestine, but also in Jordan, in Lebanon, in Syria. It is a tool of regional stability. Any resolution undermining UNRWA mandates would exacerbate the already dire humanitarian situation. UNRWA continuing operation is essential until Palestinian refugees are able to sustain themselves or to return home, as stipulated by international law. Mr. President, while supporting parallel efforts to end the bloodshed, this should not prevent the Council from demanding a ceasefire, a clear ceasefire to alleviate the Palestinian suffering. The Security Council duty is, by the Charter, to maintain international peace and security. It should be empowered to impose a ceasefire. For all this reason, Algeria voted against this draft resolution. Mr. President, we urge all Security Council members to prioritize the immediate cessation of hostilities. The Security Council must take decisive and meaningful action to halt the violence and pave the way for a sustainable peace process in Palestine and also in the wider region. It is still within our capacity to act, and urgently. I thank you.
I mean, I think it was important to look at that because of the way that Blinken described it as being, what did he say? Cynically, it was cynically vetoed by Russia and China. And I think that statement by Algeria, also a nation that has a deep connection to colonization and occupation and resistance to that occupation and what that looks like and what that resembles in practice. So I think that makes a lot of sense. And like it's been exposed, I think, as just being talking about cynicism. It was cynically vetoed. This entire thing was cynical. This is a cynical ploy by the United States of America to draft a resolution that does not call for a ceasefire and that is completely inadequate. The United States has cynically vetoed a number of other resolutions at the UN over the last couple of months that actually did call for a ceasefire. So yeah, it was cynically proposed. I mean, that's just complete bullshit. I'm just going to take a little break, folks. I've got to go to the bathroom and get some water and stuff. I'm going to take a break. Don't go anywhere. I'm not leaving yet. I'm going to stick around for about another 30 or 40 minutes or so. So yeah, don't go anywhere.
Yard 4.
Don't go anywhere. I'm just going to go for a couple minutes. I'll be back in a couple of moments and we can hang out some more. Okay, see you in a minute. All right, I'm back. I'm back. I mean, there's more stuff to talk about. I am like losing steam a little bit. It's been a long week. I have a bit of a tummy ache as well. I don't know what's going on with that. Like, I think this this story that's happening in Moscow with these gunmen that were murdering people at a concert hall. I mean, it's the kind of thing that like it instantly I think leads to, I think a lot of us probably to have certain thoughts. It instantly have us. It's very easy to speculate on that. I kind of think it's maybe the thing we should wait for a little bit more info to come in before we really start talking about it. You know, it's very easy to take guesses about what that could possibly be, but who knows? Who knows if that's true? Who knows if the sort of initial sort of feeling that we might have about this is going to turn out to be true? Should probably wait a little bit to speculate a little bit or to get more information about that. U.S. Embassy put out a warning a few days ago. Yeah, I mean, I think when you read about that story, you think about there's an obvious kind of like narrative that begins to form. I think maybe we can wait to see how that develops. We can maybe talk a little bit about that on Monday. If it is, if the reality of it ends up being the thing that we're all kind of instantly thinking, you got to wonder whether that's going to be its own kind of escalation, and whether Russia's going to have to respond to anything that they might consider an attack or a provocation. Who knows what that could lead to. Folks, I do, I'm at 10 out of 35 subs today. It's been a bit of a slower day, less raids, a little bit less folks tuning in, which is fine, something that happens. But if you can support the program, folks, I would love to be able to finish the week strong. I'm 25 mere subs away from the goal. So I'll just remind you folks again that if you enjoy tuning into this show each and every day, if being part of this community is something that has helped you in any way over the last 6 months or the last 4 years that I've been doing this, please do support the show if you can by subscribing or gifting subs or bits or tips or Patreon or whatever it is. If you can, please subscribe and support the show. Help drag my tired ass across the finish line.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
By subscribing to TRRS, like our wonderful friend Anon just did. Thank you, Anon, for the gifted sub. Yeah, Alexandro, October 7th, but the concert is actually a target. Again, I don't want to speculate too much. I know I certainly have sort of ideas about what could possibly be motivating some of this, but it's like, it's just going to be speculation at this point. We can see how that develops over the weekend and see if we have any new information about it on Monday.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Risk Inverse, thanks so much for the 3 gifted subs as well, and for all the support. I really appreciate that. Risk Inverse, thank you. And if there's anyone else, if there's any other fine folks or wonderful individuals that would like to support this program, I am now a mere 21 subs away from the goal. Very, very close.
You've just become an elite member of the Friendship Triangle.
Oh goodness, Special Fish. Special Fish, that is so, you're so special.
We simply use the computer to mark up the size of the account.
Go Rob, go Rob, go 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 Rob, go Rob, go Rob, go 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 Rob.
The most special fish in this community. Thank you, Special Fish, for the 5 gifted subs. I really appreciate that. And thanks, Joe, as well, for the 200 bits. Thanks, Joe. Very, very kind of you. We do have a possible hype train on the way, folks. A mere 16 subs away from the goal. Frozen Bananas is looking for a gifted sub. If there's any other lurkers or non-subbed viewers, now's your time to, speak now or forever hold your peace, as the saying goes. 16 subs away from the goal. Please support this this content and this community and this show if you can. Again, it's the only way that I can do this show each and every day is through the really incredible generosity of this community. So help keep this show on the air by subscribing or gifting subs or supporting the program. And we still got Frozen Bananas still looking for a sub. Frozen Bananas still looking for the tiny little images. Still holding out hope that some brave hero can bestow unto them some of the very best tiny little images that exist on this entire platform.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Thank you, Joe, for the gifted sub. Very kind of you. I really appreciate all the support, Joe. Didn't kickstart the hype train, though, because I think we need someone else. To kick that off. And only 15 subs to go, folks. Just a few brave heroes could step forth and support this program and help ensure that it stays on the air. I'm really losing energy here. Oof. I gotta get in.
Count on me. You're gonna have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Prescription. I really do. Anon, thank you very much for the gifted sub as well. I appreciate you, Anon. Thank you. It was undersubbed. I'm undersubbed and overexploited.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Folks. More and more people are saying. Irate Lump, thanks for the gifted sub as well. Thank you, Irate Lump, for that. Ooh, and a mere 13 subs to go. So we got a hype train going, folks. We got a level 3 of this hype train. 13 subs to go to get to the goal. Are there any other fine folks? People of upstanding moral character that want to step to the plate here and support this program. Join the community, support this content. Oh, those cars are sick. I would love that 89 Mazda. Not so much the truck. Let's see how much they cost. I love all those graphics as well. No price on there.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
SUBVERSIVE support.
Low Observable Goat, thanks for 31 months of Tier 1. Very, very kind of you, Low Observable Goat. Thank you. 31 months. Getting very close to the Pearl Badge. Admiral Praxis, thanks for the tip. Thanks for the 420. Very much appreciated, Admiral Praxis. Thank you. 23 is the new 35. No, I think 35 is still the same 35. In my view, in my understanding. The specter of subbies is haunting TRRS. It's true. It's true. But Dr. Maggot, you've been very generous over the last couple of weeks and months. So please don't feel pressured, you know? You've stepped to the plate. You have stepped up. %70 of the way through level 3 of this hype train, though. I would say another 2 gifted subs to get to level 4. Do we hear level 4? Is level 4 a possibility? Look at this haircut. Is there a sub gifter that wants to support my haircut? Look at that. Can you believe it? I'm really low energy right now. I really kind of hit a wall here. 4 p.m. end of the week. I guess it happens. I guess it happens, doesn't it? A minute left of this hype train, folks. We got new emotes. That's right, Comrade Bushy. A minute left. Can we get it to level 3? 2 gift subs could do it. 2 gift subs could get us across.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Well, Mistress of Insanity, thank you for gifting a sub. That's very kind of you. I really appreciate you. Thank you. Lioness supports my haircut. Even though you were trying to convince, you were being a haircut demon, a mullet demon, trying to convince me to go even way crazier. It's a little conservative, encouraging for what your recommendations were, but you still support it, and that's the mark of
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Kijiji, thank you for the gifted sub. I really appreciate that.
You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
And thank you, Dr. Maggot, as well, for another gifted sub. Very, very kind of both of you.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Another one from Dr. Maggot. Thank you, Dr. Maggot. We're getting there, folks. We're getting there. 8 to go. Getting the streamer to say, thank you, Mistress of Insanity. That's right. That's right. And I do it happily. I had to take down Don. He was getting a little smug. Yeah. I hear you. Oh, that's a nice car. What is that? Is that a Honda? It's a Pontiac. Pontiac Lamars. That's nice.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
$5,800. God damn. Le Mans. Okay, Le Mans. I see. Part Ian, thanks for the gifted sub as well. That's so sick. Man. I would love to have that car. We're very close now. It's within grasp now, for real. It's within reach. This is a Predator Vision. Anytime. Predator Vision on this moisturizing Vaseline commercial. Over here, over here. We're edging the goal, exactly. Turn around. I really need to. I've been trying to convince my son to watch Predator with me. He sees really like just when I recommend something, he just doesn't want to do it. He's like, oh, no, it's violent. But he likes violent stuff. He's pretending to, he's like, oh, no, it's going to be too scary. I have this one movie. It's like is it Injustice? It's like this alternate dimension DC animated thing where Superman kills Joker. Joker tricks Superman into killing Lois Lane, and then Superman brutally murders Joker. And he watches it over and over again. And I'm like, dude, you should not be watching that repeatedly. Like, it's messed up that you're looking at that. We got to put on something else. Put on something else. And he's like, no, I'm fine. I like this. Okay, well, you watch Predator with me? It's a bunch of big muscly dudes chasing around an alien in the jungle. And he's like, no. No, I won't watch that. Like, Jimmy, Jesus Christ. Who's the parent in this relationship? Tell him strangers on the internet recommend Predator. That's a really weird turn of phrase, actually, when you say it like that. Folks, 1 minute left in this hype train. 1 minute left. 7 subs to go. 7 subs to go, folks. There's a whole thing, Rob. It never goes away. My mom's been bugging me to get a haircut for months, and I still refuse to this day. I'm 27. Just sometimes when they say it, you just automatically don't want to. I get it, I guess. I get it. We got another 30 seconds to go, folks. 7 subs. 7 measly little subs to go to get to the goal. That's so few. That's so few subs. We could find that number of subs in our couch cushions and be like, oh, where did those come from? We didn't even realize. I like the Predator and Predator 2, and he says, want some candy? Want some candy? I watched Predator 2. I mean, I mentioned this last year, but I watched Predator 2, and it's really good. Like, it's not as good as the original, but it's better than it has any right to be. When was the last time you found $40 in your couch? All the time. Happens all the time. When you make it rain over here like I do, that's the kind of common occurrence that happens. Predators, on the other hand, was not so good. Yeah, no, was that the one like on the planet, like when they bring them to the hunting planet? Had a pretty good cast. I mean, there were things that were not bad about it, but and I didn't even see the new one. That's how far some of these franchises have fallen. Prey was pretty good though. I liked that. Prey was fun. I don't get triggered by casual American imperialism in Predator 2, so it's the better movie. I mean, at least Diego, at least you have the soldiers in Predator being tricked and manipulated and used by the CIA to do imperialism. You know? That's part of it. We're a rescue squad, not assassins. And then the CIA tricks them into going after and brutally destroying this group of guerrillas that are probably out there trying to teach peasants how to read before just getting brutally murdered by Arnold Schwarzenegger and his muscly companions. Oh, Well, folks, I would really like to stick around and continue harassing people about this this next couple of subs. I just don't think I'm very low energy though. I think I've used up all my energy reserves here. And my guru and my Diet Coke was not enough caffeine to carry me through. If there are any beautiful, wonderful 7 sub gifters in the community, I'm not saying that I don't want that. It would be really great to finish the week strong by getting to the sub goal. I just don't think I have quite energy that I need. Rob needs his slib. Exactly. That's exactly right. Superboy the series. I don't have no recollection of that. That would have been a good move. I'm sorry. Gandalf was probably thinking about that. He hated Mary so much. Give away my position one more time and I'll bleed you real quiet. Leave you here. Got that? But who's to say that without Gandalf becoming Gandalf the White, perhaps that would have not been enough to turn the tides in the Battle of Pelennor Fields. We don't know. We just don't know. Or the Battle of Helm's Deep. Gandalf the White was essential to both of those. Oh. Thanks for tuning into the show today, folks, and this whole week. It was another solid week of TRRS. Thanks to everyone for hanging out with me and tuning in and supporting the show. I appreciate it, and I appreciate you. It's funny, these aerobics things, you can just walk outside. You know that, right? You can just go for a walk. You don't need the easy glider. You can literally just walk around your apartment. I understand you can't do every single bit of exercise like that, but just go for a walk for 30, 45 minutes. It's the same thing. Three easy payments of just $19.95. This is Brandon's America. You can no longer get an easy glider for a mere $60. Thanks again, Risk Inverse, for supporting the show and for hanging out. Thank you, folks. Stay tuned. I'll post pictures of our cake in the Discord. Peace.